All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our webinar for Conquering a Crisis, talking all about COVID-19. We are going to give everybody a couple minutes to join. I see some people still coming in, so we'll probably start at about 5 after. If everyone go ahead and just let me know that you're hearing me, you're seeing my presentation in the questions chat bubble on the right hand side, just so we know everyone is good to go and we can troubleshoot if we've got any technical difficulties. That'd be great. Yeah, I know who you are.
Laura, we should definitely check out some music for the next time while we wait.
Music.
That's a good idea.
All right, good feedback, all good. Thanks for having us, hear you nice and clear. Thank you for joining us, Tim. Everyone says they can hear and see us. Awesome, appreciate the feedback, guys. All right, still see a couple people coming in. Give like 2 more minutes because our number does keep climbing.
I hope we have enough room for everybody.
It's getting kind of full right now.
On the call,
I'm starting to warm up because of the crowd.
What's for lunch today, Jean?
For lunch is a traditional Russian dish. They're like little hamburgers. Bread.
What do you call it? What's the Russian name for it?
It's called a kotleta.
Oh,
Ooh.
it sounded pretty awesome. Much more desirable than a hamburger.
I'll bring you some to the office when the quarantine is over, so you can try some.
Okay, sweet.
What's for lunch for you today, CR?
I went with homemade chicken salad.
Oh, I love chicken salad.
And a little tomato soup. And tomato soup's always like a go-to.
Not to rub it in Jean's face, but I'm having pizza.
I'm having pizza tonight. It's Passover right now, so Passover's over this evening. So I will be tearing up some pizza and cheesesteak subs this evening, I can assure you.
Pizza and cheesesteak subs is a picture of health. I like it.
Alyssa says hello.
Hey,
Hi, Alyssa.
She specifically says hello, friends.
Oh,
not
hi,
only
friend.
did she say hello, but she called us her friend. Tim Stewart says happy belated Easter, everyone. Thank you, Tim. Back at ya.
Hey,
we had a different style Easter in my house.
I wanted to clarify that was homemade tomato soup. Like she made it herself.
I wanted you to clarify that not only is it homemade chicken salad, but also homemade tomato soup. That sounds pretty good.
I'm a lucky guy.
Guys. Cassie says hi as well. I love hearing from everybody. All right, it's 1:04, so why don't we go ahead and get started, because that's how we roll into here. It'll be about 5 after. So just wanted to say thank you, everybody, for joining us. I know that there's a lot happening right now, so we appreciate you guys taking the time to join us in the middle of your day. We're going to be doing a really candid look at what we are doing to conquer COVID-19. I think there's a little bit of an echo. Craig, could you turn my volume down, or your volume down a little bit?
Why is it always me?
I know you. Like it's just, this is how we roll. We've been working together
That's just
for
bad.
a little over 3 years at this point. I know how things work. Thank you very much for
I
that
accept, I
feedback.
accept it.
And then Howard says, hi, hello, Howard. Thank you for joining us. And someone already asked if we will be sending a replay. Yes, we will. This is recording right now, so I will absolutely be sending out the recording after the event. So today's webinar is definitely, our goal is for it to be interactive. So if you have questions, please do use that questions bubble. I want this to be really interactive. I want it to be conversational. We will have time for Q&A at the end, but if you have any things that, you know, if we're related to a certain topic and you want to ask it right away, just go ahead and put it in there and we will go through it. So we're going to be getting pretty personal during all of this. I'm going to start with our agenda. We have 4 big points that we want to talk about today. So the first is going to be how to tackle this crisis head on as a small business owner. Next up, we're going to talk about how to pivot your internal and your client-facing activities to virtual platforms. We're going to talk about how to market to your clients so you're poised to assist them after the pandemic is over, because we are going to emerge on the other side of this, guys. And last thing that we want to talk about is how to spot what is real in this ever-changing social climate. And then, as I mentioned, we will open the floor up for Q&A. So thank you again for having us. I'm going to turn the floor over to Craig, who I assume is the reason that many of you are here. And he's just going to start by introducing himself, a little bit about him and how CR of Maryland got started. So Craig, please do your thing.
Well, thanks for the introduction. The first thing I'll say, this is like way outside my norm. It's my first webinar. I am typically behind the scenes. Laura and Gina asked me to do this, and I've been around for a long time, and I've made a lot of mistakes, and I've made some good decisions along the way, and I want to share them. And if I can help somebody, that's really what it's all about. So long ago, I started off in the car business. Started selling cars when I was 18 years old. I am born and raised in Maryland. Grew up in Randallstown. Graduated from Westminster High School. Started selling cars in Glen Burnie. So I am definitely a Maryland guy. But I did end up in Pennsylvania when I was 20. Was managing a dealership and ended up buying the dealership when I was 31 years old. When I bought it, we had about 300 employees, and I was good at selling. Like I was good at motivating salespeople, and that was my strength, like talking to people and motivating. Having 300 employees, it just brought a lot of different people to the mix, and I probably wasn't qualified to be an owner at that point. So that was in 2001, and we were selling between 600 and 700 cars a month. So we're a large operation. But I brought a partner in to run the day-to-day operation because that wasn't my strength. Then by 2004, I'd worked myself out of a job. Like I owned the company, but I wasn't really part of the day-to-day, and I needed something to do. My wife was tired of me sitting home, and I started buying homes. Somebody said, "Hey, you should try to flip a house." I didn't even know what it meant, but I bought a house. Some guys renovated it on weekends, and even though I owned the company, for sale by owner sign out front, and I was so excited. I sold it the first day, and I was hooked. It was awesome. Making deals, talking to people, and it was great. I went out, bought 20 rental properties. It was fun buying them, not really fun owning them, and so I got rid of those quickly. So I kind of floundered back and forth for a couple of years in real estate, trying to figure out what the niche was going to be. And at the same time, my dealership was doing really well. I thought I was really good at what I did, and I didn't realize like it was hard to be bad back in 06. I mean, like 05, it's like the market was just hot, so everybody was good at what they did. One of my friends came to work with me in 06 from the dealership, and probably the best salesperson, he might be on the call, I'm not sure, the best salesperson I've ever worked with, Eric Brewer. And we had a meeting. I'm like, hey, I think we can do high volume flipping. And by the end of 06, we were flipping 100 homes a year. And again, that was before flipping was cool. And again, the dealership was still rolling along. By 08, we were flipping about 200 homes a year. in York, Pennsylvania, and we were extremely active. But I saw something changing in the car business. Like, it was just getting tougher, and traffic was down, banks were getting picky, our business was going down, and I was totally disconnected, and I didn't know what to do. Luckily, I had a partner that wanted to be an owner, and I wanted to be an ex-owner. So we ended up making a deal, and I got out in December of 08. Looking back at it, I shouldn't have sold. I just didn't know what to do. And it's one of the reasons it's motivating me to talk to everyone today, is that was a mistake that I made because of a lack of knowledge. No one taught me how to run a company. Fortunately, real estate continued to do well. Eric and I did a good job together, built a company. And by 2014, I had worked myself out of a job in Pennsylvania. The company grew. Eric was running it day to day, and I ended up coming to Maryland. Our niche was at selling homes between $400,000 and $1 million, and that was more because it was fun. It was fun, like doing renovations, fun picking out different materials, building our name, our quality. It probably wasn't the best business decision. Selling $1 million homes isn't easy. So we evolved. And then 4 years ago, we had an opportunity to get into rentals, and my son had just graduated college. Wasn't really interested in real estate, interested in helping people. And he's an operations specialist. So we had a need, and he was disgruntled where he worked, and he came back home from Miami to Baltimore. So he came back, and in the last 4.5 years, he built a rental portfolio of over 300 homes. And we are 90% voucher based, and we specialize in affordable housing. And that's a big part of our core values, is giving back to the community. So build a rental portfolio is really geared towards helping people, and Brock has done an amazing job with that. At the same time, I'm not sure if she's on the call or not, Teal Clays came to work with us and built a retail team, and she did an amazing job. It started from scratch. There was nothing, and she built it herself with a lot of sweat and hard work. Brought Gene on board, and ever since, we've had the top performing team. It really had nothing to do with me, just really good people. And then we've continued to evolve in our business to where we are now. And now we do less retail flipping, but we're really into turnkey real estate. For people that know what that means, we anticipate selling about 180 turnkeys this year to investors across the changed our business. And it really goes hand in hand with our rental business. And at the same time, all the homes that we're selling are in Baltimore City. So we're investing a couple $1 million a month in Baltimore City, and the money is coming from people outside of our state. So it's really exciting to see that kind of investment going to Baltimore City. So that's where we are right now with our business.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
All right, so we're gonna get into some of our content now. So the first thing that we're gonna head into is how to tackle this crisis as a small business owner. Craig, like he mentioned, has a lot of experience, and one of the things that we've been really driving home the fact that we're not running from what's happening right now with this pandemic. Craig's really tackling all the decisions and the problems head on with the rest of our leadership team. So the first thing, Craig, that I wanted you to touch on was some of the tough decisions that have needed to be made since the pandemic has affected us in the past month or so.
I mean, the first one is closing the office and working remote. Was not, I can't take credit for that. It was definitely Brock's idea to be forward thinking, and that we've been closed or remote for over a month, and well before it was ever part of Governor Hogan's plan. We took the initiative to work remote, and it was tough. I mean, I'm old school, I'm hands-on, I like to see people, and it was definitely a change, but he made the right call, and it was a good move.
Okay.
Do you want to keep going, or do you want to ask?
No, go ahead. I mean, those were kind of like the four main decisions that I know that we really wanted to talk about. So with layoffs, I know that was something that was like a really big decision, and one of those decisions for you was actually to not lay people off. So
I think every business has to think about layoffs in times like this. And we decided early on that we weren't going to lay anybody off regardless. And we were a family, we're a community. Our mission is to invest in our community and make it a better place. And my community starts with my family, but it extends to our company, and I owe it to them to be there for them. So we committed not to laying anybody off. Marketing, we've cut back on our marketing, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but we've cut back about 85% on our marketing. It's just not good business, and we'll talk about that later. And I will clarify, like, I'm not an accountant, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a doctor, and I've been in business for 30 years. So the decisions that I make, or I made along with the people that I work with, or what we felt was best. And marketing into an environment like today, it doesn't make sense to me. And then the time commitment, I think Lars pointed out, like, this time last year, I was working about 20 hours a week and playing golf 5 or 6 days a week. I'm on calls now all day, every day, and I'm actually far more fulfilled. And I've really been able to meet and know on a different level the people I work with, and I feel more fortunate now than I ever have.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely wanted you to touch on your day-to-day involvement, so I appreciate that. Next thing that I wanted you to touch on was, we've been talking a lot, especially this week, about us figuring out what works for our company and sticking to that. So we've focused on, like, where we can devote our energy to make the biggest impact for our business and our community. So can you talk about how we went about figuring out what's working for us and how other business owners might be able to work on that as well?
So yeah, and we have a lot of ideas, and we always have, and we try to do a lot. And when we're together in the office, it even moves quicker. But what we realized is we're only going to be able to make so much of an impact. So the things that we decide now, we're going to pick 1 to 2 items daily that we're going to focus on and really make an impact on those. And the other 20 things we want to discuss, like, if we don't discuss them, it's okay. Like, let's just be really good at what we do. And I think Lars' next note really hits home. Like, for me to go on a webinar like this is, again, not my comfort zone. I might ramble, so just, like, flag me down. But I don't want to be a 10. Like, I want to give people information or knowledge and share that when we hang up off this call, you're like, wow, transparent. I love my company, and hopefully the people on this call feel the same way when we end. And I want to give you guys a 13. Like, I want to be the best every time, and being the best is giving as much as I can to people right now. So that's what that's all about.
Awesome. And then the last question is sort of more, I guess, on the financial side. I know you're going to give that disclaimer again about how you're not an accountant and a financial advisor and everything, but this is something that you and Gene have both touched on. So can you talk about, in this current climate, like deferring payments, what you're seeing with other business owners, things like that?
I'll ask Gene to touch on the one part, because he had a discussion directly with his mortgage broker. And Gene, what was the conversation that you had?
Basically, you just have to know what you're getting yourself into. If you're having a deferment of payment for a month or 2 or 3, in 3 months, that payment's going to be due. So if your mortgage payment is $2,000 a month, we don't know how much better off you're going to be owing $6,000 in 3 months. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. And then once you defer it, and if you're not in real trouble, if there is a time when you need to defer it, the lender is not going to allow you to defer it, because they don't allow a certain amount of deferments.
So yes, like for us, with all the rental properties we have, I mean, we have hundreds of mortgages. And as soon as I heard all this is going, I saw it going down, heard the news, I'm reaching out to my banks and asking, what can we do? And everyone was very quick to offer deferment. I had one banker stop me and say, like, the first deferral is easy, like, you'll get it. The second deferral is not easy, like, you need to prove like serious hardship. And then, Craig, there's no third deferral. So what are you going to do? And I think people need to think about that. Like, when I said we're in a war, I'm not sure I said that in this meeting, but we're in a war, and it's It's a biological war, which I'm not even qualified to talk about. It's a mental war that we were in every day, trying to like stay on the path. And it's an economic war. And on the economic side, we're not even close to being, we don't know what it is yet. And there's some people that have been hit really, really hard. And, you know, I feel bad, like restaurants, hotels, like things like I can't even imagine. We are very fortunate to be in the position that we're in, and I'm thankful for that. And that could change, though. And his point was, like, banks can only give so much, and they're going to be extremely agreeable in the beginning. But what happens if it's 9 months from now and the economy is just really, really messed up, and then you need more help, and they're not going to give it to you. They can't. So I would just tell people, like, to keep that in mind. If you don't need help right now, like on my end, I'm more worried about the people that need it now than I'm worried about myself. So I rather leave money out for people that need it today, and then, you know, God willing, if I need it 8 months from now, like, it's my time. So I just ask people to do the same. Think about the other, you know, think about other people.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we had a clarifying question from Randy. Says they're not adding it onto the end of your mortgage. So that might be for Gene.
So it depends on which program that you're eligible and what your lender is offering. Each lender is different. You should definitely find out what you're getting yourself into before. Yes, I've heard where they're putting it on the back of your mortgage. And if you're truly not able to make a payment and this program will help you, you should absolutely take advantage of it. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm no longer a loan officer, and I used to be one. But there's only so much they can help you with. And if you know what you're getting yourself into, then go ahead and take advantage of it. The programs are there to help people, but you just have to be aware of what you're doing and what you're signing up for. During the mortgage meltdown in 2008, I had a deferred payment. I was in the mortgage business, market crashed. I had a deferral on my mortgage. Yes, they added to the back of it. Actually, at some point, I had a rate of 2% for 3 years, but that was over, and then you had to keep going. So just be cautious of what you're signing yourself up for.
That's good. And then Howard has a question that I think is pertinent to this slide, so I'm going to ask it right now. He says, how do you stay focused on impact when clients call and email with urgent items?
Gene?
We actually, I don't want to go too much into it because I think it has a lot to do with EOS and how we operate our business, which I know you're going to touch up on later on. We make sure that we work on the business, and then we make sure we work in the business. So we make sure we have proper people in place, proper tools, and things that we're actually going to go over on some of the later slides in order to position ourselves to be able to get those things accomplished.
Okay. All right. So next slide. I had done a little bit of crowdsourcing before this to ask questions of what people may want to learn of Craig. So this was a question that someone submitted that says, which aspects of your business model prepared you for this pandemic in ways you may not have expected?
So just specifically to the business, again, for our rental properties, like, I didn't plan for anything like this, never even thought about it. But because we're voucher based, I mean, 80% of my rent's guaranteed. So it put us in a really good position not to be exposed. And that was something I thought about when I made the decision, but that was not the biggest motivating factor. But that definitely has helped in this situation. And then the shift from retail flipping to working with investors to invest in Baltimore City. Like, investors they're not prepared for anything like this, but it's just less volatile. Like, so we made decisions to change our business that actually protected us in this environment. So that part of again, those two items financially have worked out well for us to put us in a position to continue. And then as Gene touched on, EOS, the operating system, entrepreneur operating system, was introduced to me by Eric Brewer also. And it changed our business. Again, like I've never been taught how to run a business, and I'm not sure how I was successful, but I have been. So like hard work and commitment, dedication, honesty, integrity, like that works for so long. But to scale and grow and work through issues like this, you need to have a foundation. And when we onboarded the operating system, our communication has increased tenfold. And from Gene to my maintenance people, to our maintenance people, to our office manager, to everybody, accounts payable, like everyone knows what our plans are, what we're doing, where we're going, and it's really changed. That's the biggest change that we've made in the last year, that if we would not have had that in place at this point, again, financially we might have been okay, but I would think people would just feel a little lost. And I think right now we're a stronger unit than we've ever been.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on to another one of our major points here. So this is a look on how our company is pivoting to virtual platforms. So we're going to touch on both internal and client facing. So I'm going to talk about what we've been doing on the internal side. So what Craig was just talking about with the EOS model that we follow really has dictated a lot of how we run our business, and it's things that we were using already while we were in the office that, due to the fact that we do have the technology and the systems in place right now, it's allowed us to have a somewhat seamless transition to working from home. So fortunate enough that we haven't felt the effects of being like so disorganized and things like that. So the first program that I wanted to touch on that we're using is Asana. So if you're a small business, this is a really good tool for you as far as task management goes, especially if you're a visual type of person, which I personally am. Keeps everyone on the same page. It also keeps us organized as we lead our meetings along the EOS model. And another program that I've seen that's similar, if you are not an Asana person, is the Trello system. So basically both of those programs follow the Kanban type of organizational system. And Asana just really works for us across the board. We use it from everything from transaction management to renovations to our HR hub. And our leadership team really uses it to keep us focused on projects that are important to us. And I actually can circle back around to Howard's question with this, because I know this is probably what Gene was touching on. The way that our meetings are run is we have a lot of healthy conflict, I'll say, at our leadership meetings and our department meetings. And we bring things that we call issues, and issues aren't always a negative. I know that word like sounds really bad, but sometimes an issue could be like an opportunity or an idea that you have that you want to run by your peers. And the way that the EOS model works is they say that a small business owner runs across 7 to 10 issues in a day. Most of those you're probably going to be able to figure out yourself, but if you aren't able to get past those issues within a day or two, it's something that you want to elevate. And it's cool for us because, you know, we have people from our renovations department weighing in on our property management department and our transaction coordination department. So you get different points of view rather than, like we said, when you're working in the business, sometimes it's hard to see the bigger picture. So that's what we use, and it's really helpful for us. It's definitely kept us on track for the past month now that we've been with work from home. As far as data goes, if you are an Excel spreadsheet type person, I highly recommend looking into the program Smartsheets. We've been running our business using Smartsheets for the past 4 years, and I can't express how much like that has helped us. It's a little bit more interactive and involved than a typical spreadsheet, but as like I said, if that's like a format that you're familiar with, absolutely a great tool. As far as us keeping connected with our team. You know, we've stressed over communication a few times already, and it's going to come up again in this presentation. I promise you that. So we are an Outlook-based company, so we use Microsoft Teams to chat internally. I actually, as soon as I said that, just got a Microsoft Teams message, if you heard that noise. So that's how I communicate with my teammates, with other department heads. And it's free. So if you're on Outlook, you should look into it. If you're not on Outlook, if you're a Google Suite-based company, GChat, Slack is also another free platform that just keeps everyone connected and on the same track. And then for virtual meetings, again, Microsoft Teams does have the capability to chat. Gene and I get on Microsoft Teams and talk to each other 4 to 5 times a day in different meetings. So he gets to see this face very often and very easily with the help of Microsoft Teams, lucky guy. But if you don't have Teams, Zoom is great. Zoom is a really good free platform. And if you have $15 a month to spend to upgrade to the Pro account, that's what we use. And I can't recommend it enough. I do think it pays for itself. Some other options, if you are a Google person, Google Hangouts, Skype, FaceTime if you know that the person has another Apple device. And then right now we're using a GoToMeeting webinar subscription, but the GoToMeeting platform also has ability to talk between clients. So you could use that as a client-facing platform as well. And on that note, I'm going to turn that over to Gene so he can talk about some of the programs and technology that we've been using to communicate with our clients.
Cool, thank you. So in terms of client facing and what we're doing to shift or merge with this epidemics and have a smooth transition. First and foremost, we were having monthly events, which we shifted to weekly events. And Pam Story is heading up those events. They're called Tuesday Tips. We bring an expert from each industry every week and in hopes to bring value to our listeners. What's great about that is actually we're seeing that we're getting 3 times the amount of participants that we did to our face-to-face events. So when a first-time home buyer seminar is typical, you'd be lucky to get 10 to 15 clients there for the event. We're seeing 45 and 50 people for the same type of event, which is great. Mm-hmm. The other thing that we did is we completely revamped and rebranded our virtual presentation for a buyer and a seller. So our virtual presentation is able to be shared by our retail team with their buyers or sellers using any of the softwares Laura touched on above. I prefer to use Zoom and Teams. FaceTime makes things a lot easier, but you can't share your screen. So definitely we always try to do a Zoom call, that way we can show our presentation and show the value that we bring from clients working with us. The other thing is, just like internally within a team, is over communication, reaching out and being proactive with every client. I think that's very important. We're all humans, so it's very important to have human interaction. And so people understand where you're coming from. What we also did is we shifted from having just pictures in all of our listings to video walkthroughs, and as well as some listings, we added Matterport, which is a virtual tour of the property where a photography company can take a 360-degree picture of each room. They put it in their software, and then the buyer or seller can walk the property at their own leisure.
Awesome. And then I was going to touch on the over communication point that we keep stressing. Something that we also do through our EOS model is daily huddles. So even if you're just meeting with your team for 15 minutes a day, which is what I do in the marketing department, to our acquisitions team, we meet for probably 30 to 45 minutes a day, but it just allows us all to get in the same mindset for the day and talk about what our major points are going to be for the day, which, as we talked about right now, there's it's important to do that on a day-to-day basis right now to keep us all communicating and on the same page. So I got a, oh, I guess that's on the next page, excuse me. So we are going to now talk more about the marketing side of things. And I know Craig mentioned a little bit earlier about our marketing spend and how we've cut back. We actually got a question, well, a couple of slides back from Angelica, and it should flow right into here. So Angelica asked you, Craig, you mentioned that you weren't spending as much on marketing. Do you mean marketing for tenants or for buyers for your turnkey properties? Thank you for clarifying.
Well, okay, good question. So no, we spend, most of our spending is geared towards finding motivated sellers that we buy homes from. And for our tenants, we actually have a waiting list typically for people to move into our properties. Again, this isn't me, it's the people I work with. I mean, our quality is really, really good. Our management is really, really good. We treat people really well, and that gets out in the public. And so I don't really need to spend money to find tenants. It's really about marketing towards sellers that want to sell. And right now, it just didn't make sense to me to continue to do that. I mean, our budget is somewhere around $500,000 a year, and to receive postcards right now or have TV ads about buying homes, it just seems somewhat predatory to me. And so we really made a focus of not spending the money to do direct marketing, but having our people reaching out and calling and communicating with people and seeing how we can help them. And helping people, it'll lead into something down the road, but we're really not as focused on that right now. It's more about what we can do in the community to make a difference.
Yeah, I think that
Does that answer the
answered.
question, Laura?
I hope it answered Angelica's question. Let us know if it did. So definitely that's what we're doing as far as spending goes. Jean, do you want to touch on the top two points on this slide and talk about how we're touching our clients in the ways that Craig just mentioned in a more personal way? Do you have me muted, sir?
I'm sorry, I'm working from home and I have kids, so I didn't want them to interrupt. So over communication is very important. And I'm not sure if CR said it on this call and previously. I mean, we reached out to all of our clients, all the tenants. We also reached out to, as a retail team, we reached out to all of our sellers and buyers and see what their goals, objectives, what their needs and wants are. And we were just human and real with them in respect to their situation, and letting them know that we're going to be here so we can move to the other side with them. Like, it's not a matter of if this epidemic is going to be over, it's a matter of when. So we just want everybody to know that we're here for them on the other side.
And can I say one more thing about that? Like, we've reached out to every tenant early on. As I said earlier, we waived all late fees. People are going to be late. It's just the way it is. And we wanted to let them know that we understand. How can we help them if they need some guidance on where to reach out to? If we communicate with our tenants, there's a better chance we'll have a long-term relationship. And that's what we want. We'll get through this together. And then when we talk about every owner, and we're managing properties for people in Hawaii, like people in Hawaii buy homes from us, people in Salt Lake City, New York, by California, reaching out to them, letting them know that we have their back. Like, they bought a house, they trust us to manage it for them, and we're going to work through this together. And so just, again, over communication, this has changed our company for the better, because that communication is never going to stop. And we've realized I realize on a personal level with the people I work with how important it is, but then I also realize we can make much more of a difference in our community by actually talking to people. It doesn't always have to be a pitch.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Jean, did you touch on the CRM?
No, I have not touched on the CRM, but I can go ahead and talk about that. So what we use is Boomtown and Salesforce. Boomtown is our client-facing CRM where we have a website that tracks all our listings and tracks all the traffic online of any interested buyer or seller. And Salesforce we recently implemented, and we had to actually jump in with both feet due to us everybody working virtually. Salesforce is an amazing software that it allowed us to build out the platform based on our needs, specific to our needs, virtually with no restrictions so like the limitation, there's no limitation to the software. And basically we walked through the whole process and we're able to watch each file virtually progress through each step, which allows us to better traction of leads, better touches for all the leads, any follow-up campaigns that are needed, as well as, it helps us to increase our online presence while we're capturing those leads.
Awesome. So I'm going to talk about these bottom 2 bullet points right now, which are some ways that you guys can be marketing to in your own fields right now, whether that's real estate investing, or something else that brought you onto this call. The first thing that I've noticed, especially in the last week or so since we have, gone through that decreased spend, is all about branding. We've spent so much time developing the CR brand and what that means for us. And right now, at a time where we have ceased a lot of our outward marketing spend, we're still reaping the benefits of the work that we've put in over the years. So we're still getting leads through our website. We're still getting people picking up the phone and calling us. We're still getting people searching us out through social media, through our online presence, because we have always put out that content. And one thing that we've been doing in our business, which I encourage each of you to do, is touching on the people behind the business right now, especially in this type of climate. People want to get to know the businesses that they're supporting and the businesses that they're working with on a deeper level. This webinar for us is a really big step in us doing that, getting to know the face behind CR of Maryland. I get so many people who are like, what does CR stand for? And I'm always like, that's just my boss's name. So it's kind of cool to peel back some layers and you guys get to know the CR behind CR of Maryland. And we've been really taking advantage of Facebook Live, webinars, anything that you can to really just put your face in front of others. So we've been interviewing people on our team, sharing about what they do in the business and things like that. Another thing that you guys should be doing right now is contacting everyone in your sphere for a referral or a review. Referrals and reviews, it's the best kind of marketing that you can do because it's free. Doesn't cost a thing out of your wallet, and I guarantee it's going to be a really good lead that comes from that. So right now, as Jean's going through your CRM, figure out who can give you a 5-star review that hasn't already, and ask them if they know anyone who wants to have that 5-star experience that you gave them already. So definitely keep that in the back of your mind and help build your online presence that way. If you don't have a Google My Business page, that's the first thing you should do as soon as you get off this call, and start building that online reputation. So when people search for you or search for something that you are doing in your area, you're the first person on Google. And then the last thing, as far as cheap or free marketing, as far as content goes, if you're not a user of Canva, I can't stress this enough how much you need to download it. It's the perfect thing for generating online content as far as social media goes. There is a free version, or if you are able to spend $13 a month, it's the way that we come up with a lot of visual graphics. It makes graphic design approachable for anyone who's not a graphic designer. So in an age where everything is really digital and really visual, it's a great tool to have in your tool belt. And then on that note, probably getting a little redundant at this point as far as content consistency goes, but I watched a webinar last week, which is another thing that you should be doing. You should be trying to learn during this time period, which all of you guys are. Everyone who signed in here taking the time to learn from us, that's awesome. You did a good thing today. So I watched a webinar last week where they were talking about the difference between evergreen marketing versus hamster wheel marketing. The evergreen marketing is talking about, sorry, I got distracted by a question. Evergreen marketing is the kind of stuff where you have to build it brick by brick, but that builds your foundation and that brand and the consistency. So that means putting things on social media on a consistent basis. Don't post 5 things on Instagram on a Wednesday and then don't touch it again for 3 months. Just don't do that. Make it part of your schedule. You have to have content for social media. You should be doing blogging. Anything that you can to be client facing and be out in front is what's going to happen. And it's going to be something that if we do go through something again like this that we never expected, you're still going to be top of mind with your clients. And then that hamster wheel style marketing would be similar to what I just said, posting 5 things on Instagram. You're going to get a lot of people who are going to your page on that day, but if you don't do it consistently, you won't have like that presence that we're talking about. The question that threw me, you didn't actually threw me. I just got really confused when I saw it pop up. So Jen asked the name of the graphic design tool for $13 a month. It's Canva. So like Canvas, but without the S, C-A-N-V-A. I use it on my computer and my phone, so I can whip something up super quick sitting on my couch or at my desk when I'm actually at work and throw it on our Instagram right away. So highly recommend. And then we got another question that probably this is for you, Craig. When do you see it being the right time to market for property acquisition? So that's from Gail. And I think that's sort of due to the fact that we said like right now doesn't necessarily feel like the best time for us to put the We Buy Houses message out there.
Depending where you are in your business, and if you're an established investor and you have your model, this might be the right time for you. If you're a new investor, it's not the right time. Like I would tell you that you need to see where we're going before you're out trying to make deals. And like that, the biggest unknown is like where we're going, like what is normal, and like when we get out of this, I don't know. So I would tell you that once people are back in motion, once it's easier to touch and see a property and then to be able to buy it and then touch and see it to sell it. I know a lot of guys are doing it, or women are doing it virtually. I just don't think it's smart business. I think right now time should be spent, like Laurie just said, learning, educating, figuring out your path, making an impact, being committed to making yourself better. So when there's a more stable environment out there, that's when I'd be spending money to generate leads. For us, again, like we were spending a lot of money and it was just a waste. And it just, again, it wasn't the message I wanted to put across. And also for the homes that we buy in the city, fortunately for me, I'm able to buy them, off the MLS or from wholesalers. And I'm not above that. Like I'm happy if they make a profit selling a house to me, that's great for them, as long as it works for us. But off-market acquisitions, I think right now are really tough. There's some people that are really good at it and they probably haven't slowed down. But I would tell you that you'd want to wait until you have a firm grasp on where we're going with the economy and who's in the game and who's not.
Good. Okay. So next slide is another question that came in before the webinar. So what have you learned in adapting to the pandemic that will be carried on in your business once operations are fully restored?
It's funny, like how you have a short-term memory. Like I remember when we got through 2008 and I sold the dealership, I'm like, I'm never going to put myself in that position again. I'm never going to have that much debt again. I'm never going to have all these people working with me again. Like, no way, I can't do this. And then, like, I don't know, 4 years later, it all started over again. And now I have more debt with rental properties than I ever had. And I felt like I'm right back in it, right? But what I've learned is we should always focus on things that are sustainable and less on transactional. So like transactional businesses, going back to Laura's hamster wheel, like you can only do so many, like selling cars. Like it just at the end, like how many cars got to sell? If I sold 30 cars a month, 20 cars a month, every month it's the same thing. I'm out hustling cars. If you're a wholesaler, you're out hustling wholesale deals. If you're a flipper, you're hustling flips. Like, I think this reminds you that you really need to build a foundation for your business, and it needs to be sustainable, and whether like put it to the test. And I mean, I can't tell you right now what the test is, but you need to like really, when you lay your business plan out, you want to lay it out in a way like, holy heck, if this happens again, would this business model hold up? If it doesn't hold up, I don't want to do it. So that's where I am. It just reinforced the fact that I feel a lot of responsibility to the people I work with. I have a responsibility to my family. I have a responsibility to the community. And if I don't make it through this, I'm not helping anybody else either. So I got to make smart decisions because people rely on me. And a smart decision would be sustainable.
This is our last major point that we wanted to go over, and it's how to spot, oh, sorry, I went too far. How to spot what is real. Everything that's happening right now, obviously there's a lot of media coverage, and what we wanted to do was take the time to talk about what's real to each one of us, because each one of us, and probably each one of you on this call, has a different perspective. So I'm gonna let Craig talk about how he's gone about figuring out what's real and what he thinks is real in this current climate.
Again, I've talked about the community a lot. The older I get, and I like to say maybe a little wiser, I don't know, but like there are a lot of people that are just really, really hurt right now. And the more that we can do, like you can never do too much. And that should be our focus now. And always, and we shouldn't forget about it. And like times like this, we always come together as a country, and it's awesome. And I never want that to stop, at least for me and for the people who I surround myself with. Opportunity coming from a crisis is not right. Like there's going to be opportunities through this, but I'm uncomfortable talking about opportunities right now in a way of like people are hurting. And I don't want my opportunity coming from somebody else who got hurt. I think we're better than that. So there'll be needs that we can fill on the other side. I don't know what they are yet. But I want to be surrounded by people that can help us fill those needs. But to really capitalize or take an opportunity from people right now, I just doesn't match me. We talked about, like, I think the term I used the other day was like cavalier, like seeing these guys on, like, again, there are a lot of smart people, a lot smarter than me on Facebook, and talking about what they do and how they're still going and how many homes they bought today. And hey, I made $1 million in 08 in a crash. I can help you make $1 million this month. Like, this is totally different. I was heavy in it in 08, and I made it through, and I tell you, it's luck that I made it through. And I'm confident we're going to make it through this and be healthy. But this is different. And the biggest thing is none of us know, and there's not anybody on this call or on Facebook that is going to tell you like where we're going to be 6 months from now. So I just think there are a lot of eager investors out there, and they don't listen to too many people. And that's what we talk about, keeping it real. Like, some people might call me a pessimist or like a whatever you want to call me. I'm transparent and I'm real, and I'm really no BS. So I think you need to keep that in mind, that we don't know where we're going, and you want to surround yourself with the people, a team that is committed to getting you there. And that's, and that goes with us and our people. We're all on the same page. So that's kind of it.
Gene, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, absolutely. So what do I spot as real or unreal or not real? I feel like there's a lack of fact checking in the media. I feel like that's real. What people are posting in social media, that's really happening. What they're posting about isn't necessarily what's happening. I see a lot of articles being shared with the headings aren't. The newscasters and the news agencies use it for advertising. They use the headings as advertising. People don't read the heading and they share further propaganda. That's one thing we won't do. here at CR of Maryland, and we won't do to the community. We just won't spread propaganda. If we know something, we share it. We add value on our Tuesday tips at this webinar. If we know something to be effect or we believe in it wholeheartedly, we'll advise you, we'll share that information with you. But ultimately, it's every person's responsibility to fact check what you hear on the news and stop spreading stuff that isn't necessarily accurate. The other thing that I wanted to bring up, and CR talked about it briefly, is about being a team. And one of the things I want to touch upon are single agents. We are currently, our company is based off of our community, and my concern is that agents are going to be lost in the shuffle or lost in the shift. We're currently renovating over 40 homes, and we have what we like to call a big small business. So by having that big small business, we feel like we're better positioned than a newer single agent is. For example, we've brought on most recently Josh Madden and Tom Shea on our team, both rookie agents, both dived in both feet, or jumped in, I should say, with both feet. And they jumped in with both feet. They took on all our training. They took everything that we said. They listened to us. They applied it to their everyday life, and they're being very successful as a result of it. They've been in business, I guess, to 60 to 90 days. They have a ton of deals working. They have houses under contract. Tom had 2 closings this week. I mean, that's just not somebody that agents can say even during a normal time, let alone during a pandemic or a crisis. So we're definitely poised to take on 3 new agents who share our core values and beliefs. They need our help, guidance, support of our team, and all our tools to take them to the next level, or maybe even just survive.
And I'll touch on that real quick also. Like, we've been having those conversations about like the death of the single agent. Like, everyone's pushing the teams. The business is changing. We were talking about that for the last year. And like, on the other side of this, it's going to be crazy. And the single agent's not going to make it. And like, watching Josh, and like, I love our agents, and Melanie, Jean, they've been here since the beginning. Pam, Terry, but Josh and Tom are brand new, and to watch, every time I see Tom, he just can't stop telling me how awesome it is to be part of our group, and the support that he gets, and it makes you feel really good as an owner. So like, when we talk about, like, I didn't want this to be a recruiting video, but again, part of our community is helping people, and agents are part of our community. We need them, and they need us. And if it's 3 agents, 1 agent, or 10 agents, whoever wants to come work in our group and become part of our community, as long as you match up to our core values and you have desire to help and make a difference, you're committed to being the best, we want you. And we're going to do a lot of good things moving forward. I mean, I'm optimistic. So when I talk about what's real and what's not real, like, I'm very optimistic, but we're going to be smart and consistent, and we're in this for it's a long road and long game. And we have a lot of great people, and Gene's the leader. But it's not just about 3 agents. It could be 10, it could be 1. I want anybody who wants to be here.
Awesome. I'm going to close this one out. So for me, when we were talking about this, and I feel like my opinion has changed probably over the last week, and I even hear it in my voice with some of the things that I've said during this presentation, is the amount of normalcy that I've been able to maintain. I'm lucky enough that, my career as well as my personal life are minimally affected by COVID-19. So probably in the beginning of this, I was really probably overusing the phrase business as usual. And it's taken me some time to realize that it's quite the opposite. There's a lot of people who are being very drastically hit by coronavirus, and just because I might not feel it on a personal level doesn't mean that I don't have to act the way that it is for the rest of the world. So that finding that balance of not being doom and gloom, as well as not being I don't know, too positive, I guess. So that's something that has been a big change for me. And it kind of goes with my second bullet point here that talks about these rapid timelines. Craig and I were talking yesterday about planning for the business and how, like, we have, as part of our EOS model, we have a 5-year plan, we have a 2-year plan, a 1-year plan, and then we have quarterly rocks. And it's even hard to stick to those quarterly rocks that we're having right now. So, Craig, I'd like to turn this back over to you. And a question that I actually want to ask and have you share with everybody is how we're planning for the future.
You froze up on me. I didn't hear the question.
Oh, I was gonna say, why are you just staring at me, man?
Is that freaky?
Yeah, and I was just staring
sorry
at
about
you. That's okay. How are you planning for the future?
I mean, planning for the future, like you just said, like honestly, when we talk now, it's like we're living in a month-to-month world, and a month is long. From there, we go week to week, like what are we doing this week? And both of you know, we talk every day, hours a day. It's daily. Like something that's news that could change the way we're doing business or have an impact on the community, we're changing now. And you know, our meeting today with our State of the Union with all of our employees was to let them know, like, we're not laying anybody off. You know, I can't tell you what the future holds. Like, I have no idea what a year from now is going to look like. But right now, we're fully committed to our team. But it's truly, let's get through April. Let's get business on the books for May. We've shifted a lot of employees. Their job descriptions have changed. And the great thing is they've all been positive about change. They want to help the company, and they want to work. Like, people don't, this isn't a vacation. So they want to work. And my marketing person that worked for Laura is now building out a construction administrative job that'll end up being a real position that we're going to hire for when all this is over. But she did it like a champ. I didn't hesitate. So again, that goes to putting people around us that have like minds, and that's what Laura hired Alyssa, and she did. It's amazing. So to answer your question, Laura, like for me, it's really, let's get through April. Let's finish out this week, and let's maybe talk about Monday. And that's about as deep as you can get, which is perfect for me because I'm not deep.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we're gonna turn over to Q&A session. So if anyone has any questions that didn't already get addressed throughout, there is that questions bubble that you can go ahead and put your questions in there, and we're happy to answer any of those. I do have one question here from Gail, who said, in another webinar, I heard to calculate ARV at 25% less. I guess that's in relation to COVID-19. Do you guys agree with that?
I think
it's hard to say. Like depending on the I'm not sure how many homes you could buy right now, because it hasn't, like, pain points haven't really hit yet. It's still really fresh. So to tell somebody has a $300,000 house and you're normally buying it for 160 or 170, hey, I'm going to give you 130. The chance of getting that house is pretty slim. So in our market, again, our typical ARVs for our turnkey rentals are anywhere between 150 and 170. We're not really making much of a reduction in value in that price point. So I would tell you that the lower price points, I don't think you'll see too much of a change immediately. The higher price points, anything over $300,000, like I don't want to be in that business right now.
Okay. And then this one is not a question, but it was very nice, so I wanted to read it out so you could hear this. It says, Craig is an honorable guy and attracts other wonderful people. You've all built a very attractive brand, and I always appreciate the agency's warmth and knowledge. That's from Tina Smith, Tina, we love
That's
working
awesome.
with you as well, so appreciate your kind words. That means a lot to us. So if
Very
there
nice.
aren't any other questions, we'll go ahead and start to close out. If you do have questions, it's not too late. Just go ahead and type them in, and as we finish on the next slide, we can go ahead and answer those too. So Craig, floor is yours again. Oops, not there. Here.
Oh, so the last thing is like, we normally, like, I'm not a big ask person. Like, I try not to ask for much from anybody besides the people I work with. But we really do believe in the Baltimore Hunger Project. And I touched on it earlier about feeding kids in need. Baltimore Hunger Project is an awesome foundation. Typically what happens is they support children in school that are on subsidized programs, because what happens when school, they don't have any. So they provide food for the weekends and evenings, and it was needed before all this happened. But now, since there's no school, the kids don't have any food, and we're feeding them daily, every day, every weekend, and there's just it's amazing the work that they're doing, but it's a lot of effort and a lot of money. So we posted on Thursday last week, or I'm sorry, it's been 5 days, I think, whatever that would be. Days run together. But like, we wanted to raise $15,000. I think we're at 13,000 right now. So who's ever left on the video on our webinar, if you could hop on our Facebook page, and anything you could do to help out Baltimore Hunger Project would be much appreciated. And in return, if you ever want to talk to me or Gene or Laura, we're happy to share any of our knowledge one-on-one. And just, so I would never charge for my time, but I would ask you to help people in need. So if you could do that, that'd be awesome. So it's on our Facebook page, and all the money goes directly to Baltimore Hunger Project.
Yeah, that post is pinned to the top of our page. So if you look us up on Facebook, CR of Maryland, you can't miss it. And then one other thing I just wanted to touch on with Baltimore Hunger Project, because Craig mentioned the increase, I learned this number within the last week. So when schools are in session outside of this pandemic, they are providing meals to 600 students. And right now, with everything that's going on, they're supplying food to 2,500 students. So that's a really big increase, and just kind of echoing what Craig said about how they really need our help more than ever. Okay, awesome. So I was just reading some of the comments. I appreciate everyone's really great feedback in the questions bubble. It means a lot to us that you guys enjoyed this and got value from it. So thank you guys for watching. I'd love to hear any feedback that anyone has. So, you should be getting a follow-up email. Feel free to contact me, Laura, at crofmaryland.com. If you have any further questions, I'm happy to connect you with whoever would be the best person to answer them. Or if you have any ideas for future webinars, if you have questions that you think other people in the community would get value from, I think I have Craig on the hook to be able to do a couple more of these in the future. So we'd love to hear from you guys about what you'd like to learn.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.